So, g'day, and thanks for joining us. This is another in the series of Southwest Leaders video snippets with various of our industry experts and guests. And today I'm very pleased indeed to welcome Ron Gibson joining us to talk about how we do Ron's thing. Of course, Ron is the go-to person for business networking. How to do that in an environment where our face-to-face contact with each other is still very limited. So, Ron, g'day. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be here, Ian, and it's nice to see your smiling face on the screen.
Thanks, and you. Welcome back to Southwest Leaders. You're always welcome amongst us. Ron, I guess I've been wondering, and so have a lot of other people I talk to, your advice has always been based around questions like who are you doing coffee with, who are you buying breakfast for, who are you catching up with after work. And there's been very little of that going on in recent weeks. So I'm wondering, do you have some advice about how we do continue developing and deepening those connections with our business network in a time of social isolation?
You're right about the isolation thing, Ian. We can't go to the networking functions, and we can't sit at the same table and have a cup of coffee or a bite to eat with our friends and the people we do business with. It's different, but it's still the same in many respects. The use of video is rife now. Businesses that probably never thought that they'd be using video to give presentations and have catch-ups with their friends and their colleagues and to reach out to people. Businesses who thought that they'd never be doing this kind of stuff are doing it, and many of them are having a lot of fun with it as well. I'm certainly having fun. My clients are having fun. It's not the same as having a beer with your pals and getting out and about face-to-face with people. It'll never be the same as that until we get that back again. But things are different, but they're still much the same. And video is something that I believe that we all need to get savvy with, to get good at, because it's here to stay. It's going to be an integral part of doing business and dealing with people in business.
Yep, thanks. A very good point, and I agree with you. I think many people are not quite relaxed enough with it yet to actually have fun, but it's a really good point you make. Let's have fun with it.
It's a bit like if you're right-handed, they're learning how to write with your left hand, Ian. It's going to take a bit of practice. It takes a little bit of time, but it's a skill that can be mastered. I'm not much chop at it, but I'm getting better every time I do it. So I relish the opportunity to get on screen with you here today. Something else that I think is important as well is that right now is the best time ever to be reaching out and having communications and conversations with our friends. I'm going to try and avoid using that term networking during the presentation. I've been doing this for 30 odd years now, Ian, and I've never liked the bloody word. It just conjures people in suits and ties, working rooms, trolling LinkedIn, doing sales pitches on one another, and that's not really what networking is all about at all. And if there was ever a time like now, it's right now to be a friend, to turn up to see whether you can help people, to turn up and find out what's happened to people, how have they been affected by this COVID thing, how has it affected their world, how has it affected their family, their life, their business, their customers, what's it been like for them for the last 2 or 3 months. And people have got more time and more interested, and they want to talk and they want to be heard now more than ever. And now's the time to do a bit more listening and be a little bit more interested and caring of people's situations. And when people start to tell you what happened, how they've been spending the last 2 or 3 months, and how they see the next 2 or 3 months looking for themselves and their business and their families, what they're going to tell you is what they're missing, what's the void, what the problem is, what the issues are, what their concerns are. And the more they open up, the more they are giving you clues and information and ideas on how you can be of help to them, how you can be useful, how you can be a friend, how you can help them with an idea, some kind of a solution. And that solution or idea might have absolutely nothing to do with your product or your service. It may, but it may not also as well. And it's an opportunity just to be helpful and friendly to people. And, you know, when this is all over, and that's not going to be too far away, you know, the economy's starting to open up now. Things are starting to move a bit. People are back in their cars, on the buses and trains, back in the office. When things open up, people will remember who their friends were when they turned up during these tough times. So now's not the time, definitely not the time to curl up in the fetal position and hide and say, well, I'll wait till this COVID thing's over before I start talking to people. Big mistake.
Yeah, some very good points there, Ron. Thank you very much. I think you're absolutely right. The businesses that come out of this in good shape on the other side will be those that are remembered fondly for how they behaved during the crisis, I think. So
yes, and ultimately, Ian, what that will mean is that the person who turned up in that time of need, the friend that turned up and was interested in what happened, the friend that was interested in what's going to happen, that friend is going to get the business. They're the first person that's going to be called for that solution or that piece of work or that job or that product that they sell. So, you know, now's the time to be a friend, to be a winner down the track.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Ron. I totally agree with that wisdom. And I will try and avoid the term networking. It's a convenient shorthand, but it has become a bit of a debased term, hasn't it? And people, as you say, in suits practicing their elevator pitches on each other is not really what we're talking about here at all.
Absolutely, and I think it has been abused. It's a word that's been abused, and most people get it wrong. You know, if you wanted a definition of the word networking, I would just simply call it making friends and being a friend, in the time of need. And, you know, you build friendships and circles of people that like you and trust you and believe in you and have confidence in you, and who will then want to open doors for you and recommend you and endorse you and introduce you and refer you. You know, when you've got a circle of friends like that, you'll never ever want for money or business. You'll have all the clients, all the customers you'll ever need.
Yeah, very, very good point, Ron. And I think we could pick out a couple of specifics from what you've been saying about that. And one is being genuine, being dinkum in your relations with people. That's what friendship is about. And I guess the other thing that comes out for me hearing you speak about this is the vital importance, central importance of listening.
Yeah, I had a group of young professional engineers just recently, and I made the point about listening when people are telling you what happened to them and what's going to happen, what they think is going to happen to them, and how they're going to be affected and have been affected by this COVID thing, and how they're feeling. And you know, I've always said that the best way to prove that you are really listening to someone is to write things down, make notes. And those notes serve as a reminder of what the conversation was about. If you have 5 or 6 conversations a day and you do that 5 times or 6 times a week, you can't remember all the specifics of the conversation you had with people. You've got to write things down. You've got to listen. I think listening is an underappreciated and undervalued skill by people. It's the absolute key to relationship. And then having something intelligent to say afterwards.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. No, I could not agree more, Ron. In fact, I think in many ways listening is the master skill of our time, because there is just so much noise. Everybody has far more inputs than they are really comfortable with.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Ian, now is also a time, I think, to be thinking about deepening relationships with existing associates, existing clients, people you know. We talk about building networks and looking after them. Now is not really the time, I believe, to be trying to add to your network in terms of new connections. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm not saying it can't be done. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What the focus, I believe, should be on is existing relationships, getting closer to people, better understanding them and their objectives and goals and worries and concerns, and seeing how you can possibly help them achieve the outcomes they're looking for, either directly with what you have to sell, but also importantly, indirectly through your connections and other service providers and problem solvers. Think about this. We all want more word of mouth about ourselves and our business. Nothing is more powerful than that. Always said what you say about yourself is bullshit. What other people say about you is the truth. And when I say that, I'm talking about the power of word of mouth that turns into the referral, that turns into the introduction, that turns into the inquiry and the phone call with people saying to you, have you got time to talk with me? Have you got time to help me? Have you got time to do business with me? That's what we want more of. And by building deeper relationships based on value and that word genuine that you just described, by building those kinds of relationships, you will drive and orchestrate more word of mouth for your business or for your career or whatever your agenda is or whatever your endeavours might be. You want that word of mouth happening for you, and that happens when you build deeper relationships.
Yes, thank you. And I'm just jotting down some notes here. You'll be pleased to know. Thank you. So, Ron, if the advice now is it may still be possible to extend that circle of trusted relationships, but that may not be the main game. We may do better to concentrate more on deepening existing relationships. And given the physical constraints, what are some good ways of going about that?
Well, let me just go back to adding new connections to your networks. I did say that it's better to focus on existing relationships, but you can use LinkedIn as a tool or as a way of finding people that you'd like to talk to. You can send them an invitation to connect based on something that you might have in common with them, or a similar value to them, or something that they're doing that intrigues you, or you've got something that you think can help to them. So you can reach out to people and invite them to connect with you. And if they connect back with you, then the trick is, or the key is, to take those conversations privately by way of phone or a Zoom meeting like we're doing here now, to get better acquainted and have a bit of a chat about what the synergies might be and what next possible step could be as well. You never know. The other way, of course, of building your networks right now is to ask to be introduced. And in the last 3 or 4 days, I've had a number of introductions. Well, in fact, just as we were coming on this call, I picked up a call. You saw the phone to my ear, and that was one of my clients referring one of their clients to me. So a good way to build networks is to either ask for introductions or encourage your clients to recommend and refer you to others that they know as well. So that's how you can build those networks. But coming back to existing networks, you know, I'm always ranting on and rabbiting on about a list. And for those that might be able to see us on the screen right now, there's my list. I write this list out regularly. I have a list of all my dearest, closest, most important business contacts and friends. I like that list because it makes sure that none of my friends fall through the cracks, so I don't forget to call them or be in touch with them or to help them in some way. But I have another list as well. I have a list that I write every morning when I sit down at my desk. I write a list of the names of the people I'm going to call today. When I wake up tomorrow, I write a list of the names of the people I'm going to call tomorrow. And the same thing on Saturday morning. And then again on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 52 weeks of the year, minus the holidays I'm on, and the Sundays that I have rest. So I like to use lists. I think that the list is the game changer. anybody that wants word of mouth referrals, here's that word networking, to work for them. A list is the game changer. A list gives you something to focus on in terms of the people that you want to have a close relationship with. And without the list, I believe that you just perpetuate historical performance. Nothing changes without the list.
Yeah.
And I meet so many people, Ian, over the years. I meet all these guys, mostly guys. They know everything. You can't tell them everything. You can't tell them anything. I got the goal. What's up in my head? I've got all these people. I never forget. There's my Richard phone going. I don't need a list. I've got a CRM. I've got all these names stored in my phone. And I'm thinking, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Names are falling through the cracks every day. And, you know, we only have to look at your A's and your B's and the C's in your mobile telephone number, the first three letters of the alphabet. We scroll through those and we will be giving ourselves a nice real kick in the tail for every name that popped up. We think, Jesus, I've forgotten about Iain Massey.
Yeah.
I better give him a call before it's too bloody late.
Yeah. Yeah, a very good point. Yeah.
So lists are important. So the last 6 or 8 weeks, Ian, I have worked my way through my lists from top to bottom. No one has been left out. I've called them. I've arranged Zoom meetings with them. I've arranged group Zoom meetings, and you've been a part of some of those meetings as well, where I've got CEOs and managing directors together so that they don't feel as though they're all alone at the top and having to go through these difficult times all on their own, and they can hear stories from each other. So I pull people together. Tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock, I've got my 4th Friday happy hour lined up on Zoom. I've got 5 engineers that are all pals of mine, and we'll have a glass of red and a beer together between 5 and 6 on Zoom and tell stories and lies to each other. And I'm sure that something will come out of it. Someone's going to say to me, or I'm going to say to them, Jono, let's catch up when this virus thing's over and talk about what we can do with each other. And that's how it works. It's how business happens.
Yeah. Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. And I guess again I would pick out 2 things from what you just said as particular pearls, if I may. And one is the power of that list. I mean, since I took your excellent advice and started making a list of the people that I regard as my inner circle, it has become very powerful. But because if I go through that list, people don't drop through the cracks. I don't forget to contact people. So a very good point you make there. And I think the other thing that's coming through for me listening to you, Ron, is that whatever the limitations of the current situation and whatever the limitations of the technology that we're falling back on, there's still a hell of a lot you can do.
There's tons of things that you can do. And you can have fun with it. I intimated early on in our talk here today, Ian, that this Zoom video thing is here to stay, and some people might be reluctant to have a crack at it because it's new, it's different, it might be tricky, it might be awkward, it might be hard, it might be scary, whatever it might be. But practice makes perfect, and you fall off the horse and you get back on again and you get back on again and back on again, and sooner or later you learn how to master riding the horse. It's like everything. And you know, one of the things that has always helped me feel comfortable with my communications with people is that I had a dear old boss who told me a long, long time ago that Grandma was the best relationship builder on the planet. And I think you might have heard me tell this story before. Grandma never turns up empty-handed, does she? And when she rocks up, what's she got? What's Grandma always got? She's got the goodies.
She's got a cake, she's got some scones.
She's got the cake, she's got the scones, she's got the book for the kids, she's got a bottle of scotch for the old man, she's got something to hang in the kitchen, she never turns up empty-handed. And I believe this is the gold secret sauce for relationship building, and here's that word again, networking success. Never turn up empty-handed. And these people that I've been calling while I've been hibernating, and they've been hibernating with this quarantine thing, Yes, I've been interested to know how they've been affected and how their lives have been upended and what they're doing about it, and can I help with that? But I've always got an ace up my sleeve. I love to deal with aces. And there's 3 ways to deal an ace, in my opinion, with networking and relationships, and particularly as it relates to business. The first ace is always have something to share or to give or to pass on to people. A piece of information, an idea, market intelligence, an article, maybe a video link to this interview that we're doing here right now, if it's appropriate for someone. Always have an ace to deal in terms of some kind of information that you can share and pass on to someone that will be of interest and pertinence to them. That's the first ace. The second ace is always have something to invite people to. Now, tomorrow I've got 5 of these engineers on a Zoom catch-up, and I've invited 5 people along to that. Not one of them turned me down. I didn't have to ring 6 people to get 5. I didn't have to ring 10 people to get 5. I rang 5 people to get 5. I had a 100% hit rate because I had something useful. I got 5 engineers together. I didn't get an accountant, and I didn't get a sales rep, and I didn't get a photocopy man or an IT man. I got 5 engineers together. Do you think they want to talk to each other? Of course they do. So I've always got something to invite people to. And the third ace that we need to be good at dealing with people is always have somebody to introduce people. Somebody that will make a difference to their world, someone that can add value to their world, someone that can be helpful. I always like to get buy-in from both parties before I make the introduction. I think that's the courteous thing to do. And it also helps you avoid World War III, just in case. But, you know, too many people, I think, are in this networking paper just to get. Yeah. I call them the looters. I call them the takers. Some people call them the users. There's other names for these people on the screen. But,
this is a family show, Ron.
But I come back to Grandma again. Grandma's not a looter. She's not a user-upper. She always brings something to the table. And by having those aces up your sleeve, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to pick up the phone and shoot off an email or go and visit somebody because you're bringing something of value.
Yeah, wonderful advice, Ron. Thank you very much. And I think that is so true. The other thing I've noticed about people who give in that sort of way, who always show up with something of value, is they don't keep score. They're not doing it and counting. They're doing it just because that's what they do.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So I've always described myself as a give value first person, not a I'll give you value when you buy from me person. I think that's odious. Of course, you want your customers and your clients to get value from you. Otherwise, they won't stay with you. They'll stop spending money with you and take their business somewhere else. But I've always believed that be helpful and value the people up front. Here's that word networking again, and another definition of it. The networking, I think, is paying it forward, no strings attached, without expectation of anything, no agenda. No agenda. And the thing about networking, there's that word again, Ian, and when it's done properly and genuinely, is that it's inevitably reciprocal.
Yes.
You see, because it's in line with the 2 fundamental immutable laws of human nature. People strongly tend to respond in kind to the behaviour of others. You know, what goes round. That reciprocity is real. And the other law of people are primarily interested in themselves. Of course they're interested in themselves. We're all interested in ourselves. But if you can deal an ace in the interest of others, they will strongly tend to respond in kind to you. So it comes back. So you're right. Don't expect anything. You might wake up one day and think that, oh, Fred, is a bit of a looter and he's been a one-way street and all these times, and you may decide to scrub him off the list. That's a personal decision that people may wish to take. But at the end of the day, I found that in mysterious ways, it comes back. It comes back in spades. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no better way to run a business than on relationships and conversations.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Ron, we need to wrap up in a few minutes, so let me say as a preliminary farewell, thank you very much. And I was just wondering, before we close off here, is there some particular message you'd offer or some piece of advice? So thinking of our membership base here at Southwest Leaders, they are regional small to medium business owners. They're in many cases up against serious issues with the social isolation, particularly the travel limitations. We've been through all that, but there are, I guess, differences in a regional business community. One is that they are accustomed to being much more closely connected with each other than most people in metropolitan cities. So I'm wondering if there's anything from your perspective that would be you'd like to leave as a parting word for our audience here.
Yeah, look, Ian, we're all busy. Everyone wants the extra hour in the day to do stuff. In recent weeks and months, we've all been through 100, 1,000 traumas and issues and what have you. But goodness sake, don't allow lack of time to cause you to put this networking thing on the back burner. It's the single most powerful way to remain competitive in business, to have networks of people that you can count on and can call on when you need them for their help, when you need them for their business, when you need them for their word of mouth and recommendations, when you need them for their ideas, and when you need them to be a sounding board for your own crazy ideas, for those kind of things. Make networking a priority. It's important. My old boss said to me years and years ago, Ian, I think I might have said it already today, but just in case, build a network of people around you that believe in you and have confidence in you. You'll never want for anything. Those issues and those troubles and those problems will be small pimples on the elephant. You'll be able to solve them. So I say to business owners, get out there, get involved in the community, join those prestige, those premier networking groups out there in the local market. Yours is one of those, WA Leaders. Get involved, and your business will never be the same. It will be a hell of a lot better than what it was before you joined up with the right organisation. So that's my parting words on that issue, Ian. And thanks for having me here today. I love what I do. I love talking about what I do. And the reason why I love it so much is because when it's done right, everyone loves it. I just can't wait to get back and have a few beers with a few people. That's all.
Yes, that will be good. That will be good.
Okay. Have a good rest of the day. And thanks, Ian, for having me. And good luck. All the best.
Thank you very much, Ron.
See you tomorrow on Zoom.
Are we on again tomorrow? Okay.
Yes, we are. Yes, good, there'll be an invitation sitting in your inbox, and you'll be there with 14 other CEOs.
Good. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Ron.
Right.
Appreciate
Bye-bye,
it.
Ian.
All the best. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye. Happy wife is a happy life. Remember that too.